We're here today with Bill Borton. By the way, I'm Don Kingett. I'm an attorney focusing on tax business and estate planning, and we're located in West Berlin. And we're here with Bill Borton today, and Bill is the managing principal of W.R. Borton Associates, LLC. And they're located at 5 Green Tree Center in Marlton, so you're right down the road from us. So first of all, thanks for coming in, Bill.
Thanks, Don. I sure appreciate you inviting me in to chat with you about long-term care planning.
And I have some questions I want to go over with you today. So let's start out with the basics. Why did you form W.R. Borton Associates?
Well, Don, I spent many years in the employee benefits space, and after the economic meltdown and the advent of healthcare reform, I realized I needed to find another way. So I took a look at my background and my experience and my professional designations and my network, frankly, and I decided to develop a practice to help people plan for long-term care.
So, Bill, what is long-term care?
Don, long-term care is care that is received of a custodial nature. It's not care that you would expect to receive from a doctor or a nurse to try and make you well. It's care that you typically would receive after the illness or the injury, where you now are in a state of either recuperating or perhaps not recuperating.
Where can you receive long-term care?
Well, Don, most people, believe it or not, receive long-term care in their home. And many of them receive care from informal caregivers such as family members or other relatives or neighbors. Most people don't end up in nursing homes, and for those that do, it's typically towards the latter stages of their long-term care event or experience. Other places people can receive care are in adult daycare centers, which are exactly what they sound like. The adult children would take them there in the morning, go to work, pick them up, and then be their caregiver after hours and on weekends. Other places that people receive care are assisted living facilities, and then, of course, skilled nursing homes, which is what people often think of when they think of long-term care.
How much does it cost?
Well, Don, how much care costs depends on where you receive the care and how much care you receive. Home health care in the Philadelphia area costs about $22 an hour for a home health aide to come and help you with the activities of daily living, as it's called. At $22 an hour, it's going to cost about $50,000 to $60,000 for the average work week. However, if you do need round-the-clock 24/7 care at home, it can cost up to $200,000 a year. Kind of a staggering number when you think about it. Assisted living is typically going to cost somewhere between $45,000 and $55,000 a year at present. And a skilled nursing facility, a private room, would cost about $125,000 to $130,000 a year.
Bill, how can people pay for it?
There's really only 4 ways you can pay for care. Some people rely on family members, and I'm sure most of your clients and mine wouldn't hope that that were the case. Medicaid, which is essentially state-administered, federally funded program, which is essentially welfare, and you have to have spent your assets down to a degree where you have very little left in order to qualify, and your options under Medicaid are fewer than if you're private pay. If you have a lot of money, several million dollars or more, you may decide to pay for care if and when you need it out of your own assets. And then, of course, for the rest of us who are in between, insurance becomes either necessary or desirable, depending on your situation.
What's a long-term care plan?
Don, a long-term care plan is not just insurance. In fact, insurance is not necessarily part of a long-term care plan. A long-term care plan begins with a conversation, and I like to think of myself as a conversation catalyst. In many cases, spouses haven't talked to one another about their preferences or what they want later in life as far as living arrangements. In most cases, the couple hasn't talked to their adult children. Their professional advisors, such as their attorney, like yourself, or their accountant, or their wealth manager, they may not even know the other parties. They may have never discussed any of this with their clients. So I like to help initiate the conversation and then talk about the components of a long-term care plan, which again begin talking about where you can receive care, what your preferences are, how care can be paid for, who the family members are that will have some input into possibly making decisions at the time as to what care will be needed and where. These are all aspects of a plan. And then, of course, the legal aspects include documentations, current wills, trusts, powers of attorney, and advanced directives such as living wills are all part of a long-term care plan. Ultimately, this all needs to be committed to writing, and copies of the plan need to be given to family members and also to the trusted advisors of the client.
When's the best time to begin planning?
Well, I get that question asked a lot, Don. I generally tell people that you should begin planning for long-term care either at age 50 or when you've made your last college tuition payment. Many people just simply aren't capable of thinking about themselves and the long haul when they're still shelling out huge amounts of money for college for their children. So coincidentally, the average age that people purchase long-term care insurance is 57, and that number's coming down for several reasons. One is it's getting more expensive and harder to get long-term care insurance, but also because people are becoming more and more aware about the need and about the reasons why doing something sooner rather than later are important.
Should you buy insurance for that?
Whether you should buy insurance or not is an individual decision. As I mentioned before, Medicaid is one way of paying for long-term care, and if an individual doesn't have a lot of liquid assets, maybe only $50, $100, $200,000, insurance really is not appropriate. Once you get above $500,000 in liquid assets, insurance now becomes a consideration. And really, up until you get up into the mid-seven figures, $4 or $5 million or more, insurance is probably still a really important part of a long-term care plan from a funding standpoint.
What type of insurance would you recommend?
There's a number of different kinds of insurance policies, and anybody who's paid any attention or done any reading or studying on the subject knows that the traditional long-term care policies, the ones that have had price increases and they're getting harder to get and they're getting much more expensive, these are what people were familiar with, and a lot of people are turned off because the costs have gotten so high, and people who bought policies in years past have received some pretty significant rate increases. The other aspect of these policies is that use it or lose it factor, where you pay the premiums for all those years for something you hope you never need, and if you don't need it, people tend to feel that they've wasted all their money. Incidentally, though, they don't feel that way about their homeowners and their auto insurance, and I don't know too many people that wouldn't buy insurance on their house at the shore simply because they have enough money to replace it. Other kinds of insurance that people are paying more attention to, particularly higher net worth people, are the types of policies that are known as linked policies or hybrid policies. And these are policies that are typically paid with either one down payment, one single premium, or sometimes a series of premiums up to 10 years in a row, where the premium is guaranteed. There is a benefit that is paid to your heirs if you die conveniently, and if you die inconveniently and need long-term care, there's a significant return on your premium dollar. There's also life insurance policies where should you become chronically ill, and again that means 2 or more activities of daily living that you can't perform, the actual trigger for all long-term care policies, or you become severely cognitively impaired, or as my mother used to say, you lose your marbles. These are life insurance policies where you can actually receive all or most of the death benefit while you're still living as a long-term care benefit. And these policies can be paid out either as an indemnity or as a reimbursement depending on the type of policy. In my firm, we work to design tailored solutions for our clients where no two solutions are the same. I'm completely independent. We're licensed with about 18 different insurance companies, operate in about 6 states. Most of our clients come to us through attorneys like yourself, through CPA firms, and through fee-only financial advisors who are fiduciaries. And they rely on Borton Associates to, again, have that conversation with their clients and to basically orchestrate the planning process. And, of course, develop the insurance solution should that be appropriate.
Bill, I want to thank you for coming in today. I think the information you provided about insurance is going to be really helpful for clients and other folks that I know. Once again, this is Bill Borton. He's the managing principal at W.R. Borton Associates, LLC, located at 5 Green Tree Center, Suite 104, Route 73, Marlton, New Jersey. Thanks again, Bill, for coming in.
I want to thank you, Don, for inviting me in again. This has been delightful, and I look forward to opportunities going forward to work with you and your clients.